I Have a Dream was an interview by Martin Luther King, who was an American Baptist pastor, defender of rights and specialty of the right of Black Americans who was being segregated in the United States throughout its history. Okay, marching to work is not violent action, but in the achievement rise against in hundreds of people again rising as you can see in I Have a Drink, where the states that despite the great black should be free. 100 years later, this is not yet the case since black have of the shooter of kings of humiliation and injustice, both economic and social. The United States has not fulfilled the promise made to its inhabitants of color since for decades the American gave the black check with funds of opportunity in a country a power and development admitted by everybody. With this intervention, Martin wanted to achieve racial and egalitarian justice. Frankenstein's African American did not rise until the United States do not exist under crescent right are perfect and they will not become until black are not victims of police and social injustice that even in public establishments had denting their entry of black and these injustices were intermingled from generation to generation where even children are victims of injustices and segregation strike with the sink of only for white.
I Have a Dream is a speech in which Martin Luther King refers to how the American people at the time have been broken the promise they made of the human rights in the Constitution when they wrote the Constitution, because black people will still not equal in front of some white people's eyes. And in this speech, Martin Luther King told us some examples of daily life, of how in the daily life some of the white people try to discriminate black people, and he's trying to show us how is this wrong and how United States can't evolve and can't be a better place for everybody because they still have racism and discrimination problems. So I think Martin Luther King has two purposes in this speech. That is to make a stand. One is to make a stand so black people could live among white people without discrimination, so white people and black people have the same human rights. But it's like to change to make a change in black people's minds so they stand for their rights, they fight for their rights. And the second purpose is like to try to implant an idea in the people's mind, especially in the white people's mind.
The development of the video focuses on the process that is live and that was marked in a period of the time determined. In the process of the proclamation of emancipation, legal status change in the United States of more than 3.5 million African American people were enslaved. To screen radical to scream discrimination in which people of colors.
Martin Luther King gives us a discourse of racial inequality, sometimes from which African Americans have had to live in these times. It was for that reason that Martin signed a decree that would be a right of life for those African American slaves who opened and stayed in captivity for more than 100 years I have a serious dream, the principle of making democratization a reality and to seek equal and life for all those people whose rights have been violent. Thanks to this, America never rests until their rights were warranted and the splendid day of justice was a will, and this speech does not leave a fight spirit of not overcoming us of strength, but Martin invites us not to abandon our dreams to take over them, to never abandon them for harder the road west.
Going to talk about the dream of Martin Luther King. I propose the ideal of society based on the values of equality and fraternity with full recognition of civil rights and individual freedoms of the African American country. Has been demonstrated that the African Americans with being free in the United States, that they continue to be relegated and segregated. Yes, black men and also women would be warranted the rights of life, liberty, freedom, the search for happiness, to giving recognition and to provide the freedom, security, and justice that one wants to the demand absolute with peace. And that need to continue advancing with a purpose of justice, despite difficulties, the unjust, these tense scenarios that are expressed in the country because of racism, the specialty advantages and advances. I have a dream of justice and equality, of brotherhood between wheels and whites and blacks. There is in which the barriers of racial separation are overcome, so that one day in the United States the dreams of freedom and equality rights for all citizens